Hey there everybody, hope you're doing well. This is Jake from Glasskube. In this video, we're going to be talking about contributor guidelines. Now, I know this probably isn't your idea of the most exciting video ever, but if you are an open source contributor, the contributor guidelines are a good source of truth to know kind of what's expected of you when collaborating with us, and also what you can expect from us when it comes to the PR reviews that we're going to commit to, and just overall how we can make the collaboration between open source contributors and the project as smooth as possible. So yeah, as I mentioned, we recently updated the contributor guidelines. You can find them over on our GitHub repository. Let's head over here to find the repository. You can head over to glasskube.dev and then click on GitHub. By the way, if you haven't already, make sure to give us a star. That really helps us out. But yeah, if you scroll down to the contributor guidelines, you can find them in full right here. Now, I know sometimes when you see an issue that you want to work on, or you're kind of excited to get your hands dirty, the last thing you want to do is to scroll down and read a full markdown like this. So just to let you know, I added a TLDR, and I added some key points to keep in mind. If you're not already part of the Discord server, you can head on over to it. I'll add a link in the description below. So over here in the help forum, I pinned a message that has a TLDR of the things that I would really kind of implore everyone to keep in mind when contributing to the project. So these are the main things. So the first one is to work on one issue at a time. In the past, we've seen people that get a little bit too excited, grab a bunch of issues, and then just don't have the bandwidth to work on it. And during that time, others don't have access to those issues. So yeah, just please work on one at a time. You can express your interest in others also. You can even collaborate on others, but let's just keep one main responsible per issue at a time. Ensure to test your feature contributions locally. So the most important thing is that you know that it works before asking for a review. Now, the best way to do this, especially when we're talking about the CLI or the package controller itself, is to have access to a Kubernetes cluster. Now, if you don't have access to a remote Kubernetes cluster, then just install a version of Minikube. I'll show you a link now in a second just to do specifically that. When it comes to communicating with us, try to limit the use of generative AI. We don't dissuade contributors from using AI to help with coding and to help with communication, especially if English isn't your first language, but just try to limit it, because we much prefer to have shorter, more concise conversations than having to go through long scripts that have just been generated by AI. If your English isn't that great, it does not matter. We much prefer to speak to you, a human, than to ChatGPT. And yeah, so just to follow the recommended branching and commit naming conventions is the last thing that I added here to the TLDR. This is important for you to keep in mind, due to the fact that if the conventions aren't followed, the CI checks will fail. So let's just have a quick look over and just make sure that everything is really clear. What I would recommend for you to do, if you finish with the TLDR and you want a bit more information, before you get started, you have to choose, you have to kind of know what you would like to work on. It depends on your level. We have open issues for all levels of experience. If you're a beginner and you just want to dip your toes into the world of Glasskube, head on over to the Good First Issues. I'll do my best to have as many of these as possible that are going to be easy for beginners to pick up. If you're a little bit more experienced and you want to make a larger impact on the project, head on over to the current milestone. Here, you'll be able to find the milestone that we're working on for the next release. In this case, it's version 0.2.0. That will be the next minor upgrade. And here you can see all of the initiatives, all of the open issues that are here. So anything that isn't assigned and anything that also doesn't have the tag triage needed is up for grabs. So if you find anything that you're interested in, please let us know. The best way to do that is either through the issue itself or by heading over to Discord and head down to contributors, and you can add your feedback or questions here. If you have any specific questions in particular, feel free to leave it here on the help forum. Okay, so having said that, once you've chosen your issue to work on, then access the community. As mentioned before, this is the Discord server. Head straight over to intros and let us know who you are. We'll be very happy to welcome you to the community. So once you're happy with that, you can fork the Glasskube repository and you can work off the origin, which is going to be your local fork. First thing to keep in mind is that you're going to be working on some sort of a scope. So what we would like you to include between brackets in the commit scope is what part are you working on? Is it the website, the CLI, UI, or the package operator? And down in the commit message, be sure to add the type, whether it's a fix, a chore, adding to the docs. Following this commit message will make sure that the CI steps do not break. If you're working for a while, just make sure that your fork is up to date. And the way you're going to do that is by adding the remote original Glasskube repository as the upstream repository. And then you're just going to fetch from the upstream. You can check out to your local feature branch, which starts with your GitHub user, hopefully, and then just rebase upstream /main, and then you'll be good to go. When it comes to opening the PRs, just make sure to fill out the template. If there's any updates that need to be added to the documentation, make sure that those are added. Also, you can feel free to review PRs, but we just ask you to be respectful, to be constructive. If you request any changes, make sure that you maybe give some alternatives. That would be great. Just moving on now to the development guide. Here we're going to show you ways to test the different components that you could be working on, be it the Glasskube, the CLI or the package controller. As you'll see here, we'll have a look now in a second. It's going to be really easy to build the new binaries, and then make sure that you test those binaries locally before doing anything. As we mentioned, best way to test the binary is to have access to a Kubernetes cluster. As we mentioned, if you don't have access to a remote cluster, just install Minikube locally. I have the documentation open here. It's very straightforward to download. Once you have Minikube up and ready, now you can run the local version of the Glasskube binary, be it the CLI or the package. So just follow the steps here to make sure that you're testing the right component. Let's just see what that would look like. So I have Glasskube forked locally, and as you can see here, to test our changes, so let's imagine that I added some changes here. We're going to run npm CI. This is going to download all the dependencies that we're going to need, and then once that's done, we can run make all. Now this is going to run in the background. I'll just give it a few seconds. What's happening is that the binaries are being built and they're going to be saved in the dist folder. So once it's done, we'll access the dist folder and we'll test them out. Okay, so that took a few moments. Let's head on over to the dist folder. And here you can see the three different components, the three new binaries that are ready to be tried out. So let's try out Glasskube. So since I have Glasskube downloaded already, I want to make sure that I'm testing this binary. So I'm just going to pass in ./Glasskube serve, for example. And it opened up over here. And as you can see, it is now working, and hopefully you'll be able to see the changes that you've made. And that's pretty much it. I hope it's easy for you to find issues that you want to work on and that you find interesting. If anything comes up, please let us know in the Discord server or through the GitHub issues themselves. And once you're finished contributing, make sure to follow the naming conventions just so we can make sure that no CI steps fail and we maintain a level of code quality that we all benefit from. Also, make sure to test and test locally inside of a Kubernetes cluster that you have access to. If by any chance there are any issues that you don't want to work on right now, or you don't see anything that's necessarily interesting to you, at least join us on Mondays. We have our community calls where we talk about what's been done. We talk about the upcoming milestone and the plans for the project. So maybe let us know there that you're interested in contributing, but you haven't found exactly the way to do it best. We'll be happy to welcome you there. That's it for me. Thanks a million for watching. See you in the next one.